Like this is going to be the audience. Like when I look at this camera, this is going to be the audience. This is going to be you.
Got to make it like a TED talk or like like when they do the interviews on the stage. The audience isn't even there, Chris. It's not even
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. Thank you for helping soothe my insecurities. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk. This is the place where we talk about things that most men will not talk about. So today we're talking about finances. Tilghman and I were just chatting about this a couple minutes ago, and I did have something else planned, but we're going to go for this because honestly, with tariffs starting, maybe at some point, maybe they won't, I don't know. At some point, I'm sure you all have dealt with tough financial situations, not having enough money in the bank account, or you might have just lost your job and you're really tightening the belt. And I've been through that too. So that's what we're going to talk about. Some couple little tips and tricks that I've learned and some stories from Tilghman here onto how we can better manage our finances and just kind of make it a lot easier for us, like set us on the right path, not necessarily solve all the problems, but set us on the right path. So intro out of the way, Tilghman, can you remind me where we were in this conversation? Because I honestly don't know where we want to start here.
Oh man, I think we were on the part where we were talking about. We really ended off because we were on a tangent. We ended off where you were talking about how you had put all your bills into one account. Pretty much, it's like that's where we ended off, and then we went off another conversation from there. So,
yeah. So Tilghman was actually telling me a bit about, just like, hey, these interactions that he's having with his wife about, like, oh, hey, this amount was withdrawn from the account. What is that? If y'all have a significant other who, monitors the account, if you do have pooled money, that can be a little bit of a pucker moment where you're like, oh man, no, I just bought a boat, honey, or just bought a new computer. Well, for him, he was paying his bills, and I said, something that helped me out when I was younger. This was like maybe about, I don't know when we did this. It was like maybe 4 years ago. I felt like we were constantly working the account down to zero, and we were constantly asking ourselves, is there enough money in the account? Can we go out to eat? And every time that happened, I wouldn't have like a good answer for it, or neither of us, my wife or me, had a good answer for that. And at some point, I don't know if I saw it on YouTube or it just came to me by divine inspiration. I thought, wait, what if we just separate the money to where all the money for the bills goes into one account and all the money for our regular spending or whatever extra we want to do, that is, goes into another account. And what's been crazy is that it is so awesome. And the way mine is set up is probably a little more complicated than it needs to be. But basically, there's just one account, and the money from my paycheck gets automatically transferred into that account on a schedule. And then our regular spending account, like kind of the everyday account, we can look at it and be like, do we have enough money for this? Yes, we do. Because as long as the money has gotten taken out and put into that account, then we're good to go. We can do it. We can, take the little day trip. We can go out to eat, whatever it is. So I just kind of leave that as a suggestion for you guys. Maybe you do it where you just take your, the regular account that you have now and you make that your bill account, and then have like an extra spending account that you set up. There's lots of ways to skin this cat, to use a morbid phrase. So I hope that one helps. And oh, by the way, don't forget to invest. We can maybe talk about that in a second. But Tilghman, did we address that well? Do you have like a story that you want to tell in relation to that, in relation to finances? And
always. There's always good stories, especially with finances. Because like I said earlier, Chris, I would be in the streets if it wasn't for my wife. Because I was a big spender, man. I was like, guys, it's easy to be on the road. You stop at a gas station, grab a snack, grab a drink. But over time, it's just the way the world runs. Like, people are going to be buying and buying and buying. And you look back on your monthly bills and you're like, wow, I spent this much on Monster energy drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And so but like I was saying, is like because of my wife, I've become more frugal. I've become more of the uptight one in the household now, and it's been a big blessing because I've learned more about finances. She came from a household where everything was just paid in cash, paid off immediately. There was no credit or anything like that. There was no borrowing money for anything like that because it's really common where she's from, in Argentina, to just like pay stuff off right there. And so what
Mm.
we've done is we've found a way, kind of like how you talked about, Chris, with your bank accounts. And it just now came to me like, hey, we're not doing that bad, but I would like to kind of tighten it up a little bit better, after talking with you about how you have that own account. But I would recommend trying to find a credit card that has any kind of points or rewards that you can get
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
Because we have a credit card, guys, that like we can go on Amazon and get stuff for pretty much free for points. We can go on Amazon, we can use it for flights, and then we've got a Delta credit card with Delta Airlines too, just so we can get points from that as well. So like any bills or anything like that, we've been able to put on our credit cards and stuff, but it's like I said earlier, there's a difference between being stable and being well off, so you want to look for that stability,
Yeah.
and that's where we're at right now, is just trying to find more stability within the finances. But you can be well off and not know where the heck your money's going and just roller
Mhm.
coaster all the way around. But finding that stabilization within the finances so that we can kind of have peace at home, is, I feel like, is a big win for most married couples, because finances tend to be a big issue between a lot of couples, and that's where,
Mhm.
if you get stabilized and get on the right page with your significant other, you're good to go.
Yeah. And now I had to ask you this clarifying question and clarify for whoever's watching this. Do you pay off the balance on the credit card 100% before the interest accrues?
Oh yes, most months, yes. Most months, yes.
Yeah.
Depending on, so recently we got some travel plans, and we've paid for some travel plans and stuff like that, and plane tickets and whatnot. So that's a big hit to the account. So by no means are we going to be paying that off in one payment. But most of the time, it's within a payment or two payments before interest starts
Mhm.
accruing excessively, to the point where we're not overpaying so much what we paid for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually landed on that. There's another I was recommended that whole thing about like have the credit card and use the credit card to do most of your stuff, not just because you get the points, because if you do pay it off, and that's the big if, like if you do pay it off before you accrue interest, then it's like you're getting free money.
Yeah.
Um, However, if you don't, that can come back and bite you, which actually recently here in the last few months, I've realized I haven't been as disciplined as I need to be, paid hundreds of dollars in interest and lost all the benefit of using that system. However, another benefit to using credit cards is it can help with identity theft protection. Yeah, your identity might still get stolen and whatnot, but what's really fascinating is think about it. You can have somebody come in and steal money directly out of your account, and hopefully the bank will replace it. Or you can have the people come into another account, the credit account, and steal somebody else's money. Like they didn't steal your money. I know it feels like they stole your money. It is still on your card and you do still have to deal with it. But it's really nice when you can still pay your bills. Like
Yes.
when your card information gets leaked and somebody starts making charges on your card. And I've had this happen. So I did that is one of the big reasons why I moved to paying a lot of stuff with a credit card. And I'll use it on trips and stuff like that. But the big caveat is you have to pay it off before you accrue the interest. Because if you don't, then you're paying somebody else.
Yeah.
And like I would rather have my money working for me than my money demanding payment from me,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um,
And that kind of, sorry to
yeah,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off, Chris. No,
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
you just sparked a thought in my mind, because there's a time I was working at Dollar General, and I think somebody might have put like what is it called, a skimmer in the card machine
Mm,
at our store
yep.
or something somehow, and I just so happened to buy like lunch that day at the store, and like a couple days later I saw these Roblox purchases from my debit account, And it was my debit card that I used. I was like, people are buying Roblox. I don't play
Ooh.
Roblox. I called my wife. I said, "Are you gaming now without me knowing?" She goes, "No." And so it could have turned into something really bad because I went to the bank and got it sorted out, and we got the money back, and nobody had my credit card or had the debit card, but we were able to get that one taken care of and start a new one.
Mhm.
And then something similar happened with a credit card of ours years like within our first year of marriage, and it was such a simpler process. All I had to do was call the credit card company, tell them like, "Hey, this wasn't me." They were like,
Mhm.
"Okay, we'll send you a new card," pretty much, and it was easy as that. So when you're
Yeah.
using your debit card, that's your money. You got to go to the bank, and like you said,
Yep.
Chris, you hope that they pay it back. They hope that they give it back. I mean, you're FDIC insured to 250,000, but there's always that question like, will they give our money back?
Yeah. It's
So
like, I hope we can still pay our bills.
yeah, right. So, and that's the big thing. But like you said, Chris, it's the biggest thing is just paying off that credit card, just making sure
Yeah.
before the interest starts getting to the point where you're just paying somebody else.
Hmm. Yeah. And if any of you can't handle that, like if the temptation is too great for you, totally get it. Like you don't have to do that. One final benefit to having, at least with my specific credit card, like I have Capital One, for instance, um, they have this neat feature where you can use virtual cards.
Yes.
That can be extremely helpful because if there is a data breach, you can actually go into their app, their website, and lock down just that card, and you still have the use of your regular card. So especially with online purchases, I would highly recommend like making sure that you're going with somebody who has that functionality. I think Google Pay has that functionality possibly.
Hmm.
But yeah, the whole virtual credit card thing is it's a really great invention, and I
Yeah.
highly recommend it. It's helped me out in the past, and even with something like subscriptions. Like if there's, I did it to block a subscription semi recently because I was like, I don't know if I canceled with these people. Like I'm going to work that out, but I'm going to make sure that right now I'm going to cancel. I'm going to lock down the credit card that pays for the subscription. That way I know I'm not going to get charged for this subscription that I don't want to renew. And it can be pretty helpful. So it's another possible thing to do. Also, kind of on the subject of finances is investing. So I don't know exactly y'all's view of investing. The short version of it is it's not as complicated as people make it appear. Um, this, like, I've had people say like that it's kind of like gambling, um, especially if you pick your own stocks. But let's see, I don't think we should get into stock picking necessarily because that's like a whole nother can of worms. Let me just put it this way. Financial advisors are a great gift, and they can be especially helpful if you generally have a problem like fiddling with your money. Like if you fiddle with your investment account and you're possibly always pulling stuff out, or trading, like kind of the day trading thing, like, by the way, almost all the time that loses money. So financial advisors are very helpful in that. However, they pull a pretty hefty fee out of your account, and it's only like generally like 1 to 2%. But compound that over years, you are losing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars after, and possibly millions, depending on what your income is. You're losing out on that money. So what I recommend for you guys is, if you can handle it, ETF investing is really easy. SPY, that's the S&P 500 index that you can open a brokerage account and go invest now. QQQ, that's the NASDAQ. And then the Dow Jones, I think that one's, I can't remember that one, but there's an ETF for that. Their expense ratios are much lower, where a financial advisor will charge like 1 to 2%. You will be charged 0.07% if you use an ETF. And guess what? The financial advisors are using ETFs for the most part, or in their words, it would be mutual funds, and it'd be different baskets and stuff like that. And they try to make it sound like they're doing all this crazy stuff. Most of the time, your financial advisor cannot outperform the S&P 500, because anytime a company no longer qualifies for the S&P 500, it is automatically dropped. There's no human interaction there. Like, fell out of the category, doesn't work. If you want to go a little bit more focused with it, there's also SCHG, which is the Schwab Growth Fund. There's also SCHD, which is the Schwab Dividend Fund. Both of those I highly, highly recommend. I'll end the monologue here in a second, but there are two resources that have really helped me. The first one is M1 Finance. It really helped me not be a day trader because you can buy fractional shares of assets, whatever companies decide to invest in. It can be ETFs. It can also be individual companies. And also they have morning and evening day trading windows. So you can't just drop in there and buy something at the drop of a hat. Like when you submit an order, it like waits till the afternoon trading window or the morning trading window the next day. Super, super helpful. It also has auto investing, which is whenever you put money in there, it automatically gets invested into a pie, like a distribution that you set up yourself. So it could be half S&P 500, half NASDAQ. And as soon as you drop $200 in there, the next day, it's automatically, you've bought 50% S&P 500, 50% NASDAQ. Super, super useful tool. Highly recommend. And then if you're interested in individual company investing and learning about that, really great resource is Joseph Carlson. I really like that guy. He's so chill, does not get political about it. He just wants to make money and he wants to do it over the long term. Really, really cool guy. Love watching his stuff. Highly recommend his stuff. So that is the end of my monologue there, Tilghman.
No, you're good. You're good. So now you just made me think of something though, Chris. It's just like you said, the long-term aspect, and I feel like a lot of people get into that trap of like get rich quick kind of scheme, or just like do this and you'll make 100,000 by next year. Do this and that, and by this time you'll be a seven-figure income earner and this and that. And it's just it reminds me of the fitness industry in a way. Like you're getting all these false promises. But I was listening to a podcast by Andy Frisella. And if you don't know Andy Frisella, he's the guy that came up with the 75 Hard program. If you don't know what that is, you guys can look that up later for the people watching. But Chris, I think we've talked about it at some point. He was talking on this podcast and he was just talking about life in general, but he said like whatever you have going on, whatever goals you have set for yourself, it's going to take a long freaking time. It's going to take longer than you think. Because when I was 17, I was thinking by the time I was 27, where I'm at right now, I was going to be retired. And, that's just that's the way my mentality was. I was listening to all these, like getting all these false promises. And I grew up, I moved out and had life hiccups, and real life hits you. And you're like, oh man, this is going to take a lot longer than I expected. And so hearing you say the long-term side of things gives me hope, and like I hope it gives everybody else watching this hope too. It's just like it's going to take a long time. I mean, needless to say, but there's ways to make it easier, and it might speed things up a little bit, but you'll feel more stabilized while doing it too.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because that's a huge, like I've been focused on the long term for such a long time that I forget that there's so many promises out there of like, oh, we're going to 10x this stock, like YOLO, like just throw your money in GameStop and all that. Like so many people got sucked into that a couple years back.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people don't make money off that. I mean, like there are people who get lucky and they get it, but I'm just telling you, your chances of actually successfully executing that are so low. So please don't fall for that sort of stuff. Like, honestly, the slow and steady does win the race. So let's see. The only other thing with investing that is helping me out a lot is treat it like a bill that you have to pay. Because then it stops being a question. Then it stops being a like, oh, should I invest money this month or this week? No, it's just automatically done. You just automatically transfer your money in there. And life hits. Like right now, my wife and I haven't been investing the last couple months because we've had expenses come up. Like I've got a truck that I just brought to the shop this morning that's going to have like $3,000 worth of suspension work done to it. so that I can spend another $1,300 on wheels and tires. So it just happens. Like you can't always be investing, but if you build in yourself the long-term habit of investing, you're going to set yourself up on the right path. Like you're going to be moving the right direction. Can't promise it's going to go well all the time. Can't promise you might have to wipe out your investment account tomorrow to pay for a medical bill. It happens. So I hope this has been encouraging to you, men and ladies, if you're watching. I just hope this gives you kind of a direction that might, like, maybe just a reminder that, like, oh yeah, like, it doesn't happen overnight. It is possible too, and it is accessible. Like, investing is really accessible. And now I'm just going to end there. So we love you guys. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you next time. See ya. All right. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't bad.
Not too bad.
A little more conversational.
There's no rewinding either.
Yeah. No rewinding. Freaking love it. So I'm just going to mark in, mark out. Out.